Our next session will be inspirational, and also, of course, you need to contribute. That's why we're all here. But first of all, I would like to introduce a dear friend of mine who has the heart in the right spot and always puts the customer first. He works with digital services here at Arbetsförmedlingen in Sweden. Please welcome Anders Gawell.
Thank you, Anna. Yes, I would like to share with you two examples where we have developed services for our customers, but along the way we had also learned a lot about how we can learn and develop inside the organization, what is useful and what helps us to become better. This is Susanna. She's a dear colleague of mine, and she came to me a few years ago and said, Anders, I would like to make a podcast. And then I said to her, okay, Susanna, what will that be about? And she said, well, about job searching, things that people can listen to on the way on the bus and so on, about how to write a CV or how to prepare for a job interview and so on. And I said to Susanna, well, I really don't believe in this idea, because I don't think that people who are unemployed would like to even be reminded of being unemployed and how to be prepared to look for a job. But I said, okay, so how much does it cost? Well, basically nothing, We have a microphone, we need a recorder, and then we can just publish it on the internet. And then I said, okay, Susanna, I really don't believe in this idea, but go ahead. And I was completely wrong, because 1 year later the podcast had been downloaded 500,000 times, and the customers really appreciated this. I would say this is the most cost-effective service we have ever produced in the Swedish public employment service. Today, 1.3 million downloads, and we have had so many different kinds of subjects going on there. Small inspirational things, about 10 minutes, about 20 minutes, about different kind of subjects that you can that can be useful for you when you are unemployed. So I learned, say yes, don't hesitate, since there is no risk in losing a lot of money or risking people's safety or anything. Just say yes and believe in the ideas. And I would like to share with you one other example. And this is our webinars, which is also a very simple technology, which we started in a very small scale. This was a sketch that was one of my colleagues drove this on the train, and he said, well, Anders, I think we can develop our live chats, because before we had live chats within the organization, and said maybe we should add some video to this and try to interact with the customers and let them ask questions, and then we can answer. We can put someone who knows their thing in front of the camera, and then we can see what happens. And I said, well, how much does this cost? Well, we need a camera and a microphone, so we started with this equipment here, in a very little small room, and there was no one listening. We tried to broadcast many times. We even went to the local office and asked them, please, can't you tell some young people to participate, because we need to see if this is something that they like. And after 3 months, we had nothing, really. But we kept going, because we said, this must be good. This must be good. This must be a way to spread the information and to get the conversation with the customers. So, and then finally, we found out that the young people were not interested in this. The customers that were interested was between 45 and 55. So we were doing the wrong kind of content for them, among other things. And then the word starts spreading within the organization that this is something that is available, and please tell the customers that there is a possibility to listen to this. And today this has developed so much. We have built 2 studios, we have 9 live webinars every week, we have a lot of well, I can show you here. We have about 1 million views so far. About 35,000 every month is watching, and we have a wide range of subjects going on here. And the good thing about webinars is that you can always put anything, any kind of information into that, because depending on where what's happening in the society. For example, when we had all these immigrants that came, finally we decided, well, why not have webinars in Arabic? So we do that as well, and we have in easy Swedish as well. So, and we have with sign language and all that. So it's really flexible. You can put a lot of things into this technology. And we learned all the way through having a dialogue with the customers. Because in the live chat, you get questions, but you also get feedback all the time on what is good and what's not so good. And we have adjusted along the way. So this is just some examples on the questions that we have been following since the start. And we have then the ones that we are really confused about is this. For a long time, it was 100% who said that they would continue to come back again and watch another webinar. We thought there was something wrong with the tool that we were using, but then there was someone who said that they wouldn't participate again. So they really like it. This is a good way of getting information, and they feel also more comfortable. Instead of having to go to the local office and to sit among other unemployed people, feel not maybe so cozy, they can sit at home and they can participate this way instead. So this has been really, really successful. So why did we succeed? Because I think really this is a success. And maybe as Johan said, what we did, we didn't really understand what we were doing because we just wanted to try. We had an idea and we started to do things. And we failed and we did it again and then we failed. And finally there was some response among the customers. And we started really, really small, and then it was possible to scale up without any extra costs, actually. And we invited the customers to come to give their comments, and we adjusted along the way. And we also invited our co-workers within the organization, please help us spread the word about this kind of information is available now. Please help us to get the traffic that we need. And finally, and I think the most important thing, because without trust, if I didn't trust Susanna, if I had said no to her, that no, please don't do any podcast, spend your working time on something else, then we would not have that success. So sometimes it's better to say yes, and you have to trust your co-workers, because you don't risk very much. I mean, if this would have been a failure, then what else? We had been, a little bit wiser afterwards. But now it was also a success, and we were a lot wiser. And I would also say that this is also a way to communicate within the organization. This is used quite a lot. The webinars are very popular here, and we have it, I would say, almost every week. There is a possibility to listen to the top management or to someone else and ask questions and have a dialogue. So it's really useful in many, many places. Yes, that's it.
Thank you, Anders. And you will be here during the workshop as well, so we can all ask lots of questions during the session after I have introduced Max. You already know him. He was in Solna Gate yesterday and told you how to reflect on yesterday's content. Do you remember? Yes. He will now be in charge of the next content, and therefore I give you Max, Skymningsmåne.
Thank you very much. Now let's see if we can get these things to work. So, yes, how do we measure progression towards a learning organization? We all want to be one, but how do we know how far away we are? Or even, are we far away? Who knows? This was the task that I was set. We were curious. Is Arbetsförmedlingen a learning organization? Are we? If so, can we find any strengths? Any challenges? So, we set the goal to become a learning organization, and I was tasked with how to measure it. So, in order to measure our progression towards a learning organization, I Googled it, how to measure a learning organization, and I found some really interesting papers. And I found an integrated survey method of two methods, strategic learning assessment map, SLAM, and the dimensions of the learning organization questionnaire, DLOQ. So these two models integrated the one survey form with 73 questions on a scale of 1 to 6. So it's self-assessment by employees on how far the progression are towards a learning organization. This survey will map some learning dimensions, some learning outcomes, and perhaps the operational performance. Continuous learning. Are there any continuous learning going on? Inquiry and dialogue. Are employees speaking to one another, asking their colleagues for advice? So. Team learning. Are they doing so in groups, talking to one another, sharing experiences? And employee empowerment. Can the employees make time? Can they direct their own learning towards the goal that they see that they need? Embedded systems. Are there supporting systems? For example, knowledge databases and so on that can support the learning. Can they find anything on our internal network? It's a really interesting question. And the system connection towards the environment. What is happening in society? What is happening in other divisions? Can we find it? Do each individual employee sees his or her work related to the greater work that Arbetsförmedlingen is doing? And the strategic leadership for learning. Each of these learning dimensions is surveyed through a number of questions. I think continuous learning have 4 questions. So it's 73 long questionnaires. I'm not going to talk about all of them. And the interesting thing is, can we find the correlation, statistically significant, between the learning dimension answers and learning outcomes at an individual level, at a group level, and at an organizational level? And if so, can we between these find a statistically significant correlation with how the employees see the organizational performance? So that's is the survey we're trying to do. We have a plan for a pilot study. A unit in Arbetsförmedlingen is helping us by filling out the questionnaire, and we are talking to them about both the employees about the results. What was the results? What can they do in their own workplace to further enhance the results? And I will also present the results to the management for that unit. So we've got a dialogue both for management and employee. So try both survey, we try both how to handle the results, and see what we can learn from it. Can we map a statistically significant correlation between learning on the individual level and organizational outcomes in order to show some hard numbers that learning matters for the organizational outcomes. So that test is about to happen in early next year. Then on. From that pilot study, we will see what lessons have we learned. Does the method show something? The research paper shows that it should. We need to rest over here. And further investigation from that on, can we do a yearly survey on our organizational learning? Can we make a sort of an on-demand survey? For example, if a head of a unit is really wondering, how is it in my unit? Request it from us, we come out, measure, survey, works with them in order to improve the organizational learning within that unit, and then we evaluate. So we're moving from just evaluating our classes, our courses, to perhaps be able to evaluate if the learning that is not in the classroom, how is it working? Can we improve it? And of course, also handling the result. What if we find out, no, somewhere people don't have the time to learn? How can we handle that result? Yeah, so we have not come far. We have started up this work. It's going on. Any questions so far? Yes. I would now like you to do a brief exercise. Rise up. Find a group of 5 people with people you have not talked to yet during this. So rise up. Move on.
Yeah.